Well, I know there's been a big thing with, you've been asked hundreds of times, I'm sure, about Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and Serena.
Yeah.
But when I read Serena, I thought there were some other people in there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. And I think you're pretty right on most of those. Yeah. Yeah.
Lilith.
Yeah. Certainly Medea.
Medea.
Actually, I even did some research on. I never can remember her name. The Egyptian ruler, the woman that they actually would put a beard on her.
Oh, Nefertiti.
Yeah. You know, I went back and read about her. Yeah. You know, I'll pull all of the.
Yeah.
Because one thing's kind of interesting is we just don't seem to have that kind of villainous in.
No.
In American fiction.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
Was Hedda Gabler in there anywhere?
Well, I read that years ago, so I'm sure on some level, probably. You know, as all writers do, we just kind of pull it together. But a lot of Marlowe too.
She hated people who could create when she could not.
Yeah.
Perceived books as giving birth. You know, there's a scene in Hedda Gabler where she steals a man's novel he's been working on all his life and burns it. And when she burns it, she says, "I'm burning your child." You know, and suddenly she popped into my head when I read Serena. I wrote a question down I wanted to ask. Yeah, same thing that we're talking about, Shakespeare. Tell me about another influence, Greek drama.
Oh, yeah. Very much, yeah, very much. And you can see, I mean, in a way I wanted, particularly Serena to read, but also One Foot Need to have the feel, I hope in some ways, of watching a drama play.
Yeah.
At times Elizabethan, but also at times Greek. And just that, you know, with the chorus and all those, you know, those aspects, the sense of movement in the four sections, you know, 4-act play, that kind of thing. Even a kind of chorus, you know, kind of you know, ending that would be more like what we would get in a play.
Well, you've definitely got a chorus in Serena.
Yeah.
All those guys in that lumber camp, and then it's what you call a Moultrie crew.
Yeah, yeah, they were fun. They were fun to write, and you know, I think one of the things that we've kind of been talking about that's important is that question about how do you deal, on one hand, with the reality of Appalachia and the sense of how we're viewed very often outsiders as being, you know, these characters right out of Deliverance and nothing more. And I think one way that in literature we do that is by tapping into these other archetypes, these other literary influences. We're not allowing the reader, on one hand we are allowing the reader, we're making this, we're centering our work in this particular place, but at the same time we're also reminding them that what's happening with these characters in this place in Appalachia is just part of what it means to be a human being. This is the human condition. And I think one thing I hope that I do in my writing, if I don't, I failed miserably, is that it's the reader. I hope I made it difficult for the reader to dismiss these people as just mere caricatures of, you know, that if the reader does not understand that what these people may speak differently, their educational level may be different, their landscape, whatever else, but their concerns, at the heart of their concerns is, you know, is the concerns of all of us. You know, Eudora Welty says, "One place understood helps us understand all other places better." Yeah. And I hope that, you know, my characters, that doesn't mean that I want to sentimentalize my characters. I think that would be another way of dehumanizing them, if I make them all noble, long-suffering peasants. But if I can show what I hope is the complexity of both good and evil, complexity of motivations, then I hope, my goal is that the characters can never be viewed as being less than human. That's the goal.
Let me ask you one final question now. Water.
Well, yeah, okay. Being Southern Baptist, I was immersed.
You were immersed.
So I never got over it, you know. But as one of my friends said, anytime I see a drop of water in a Ron Rash novel, I know somebody's going to drown. And it does seem to be kind of, but it's just such a rich, on several levels. The idea, obviously, of birth and death, of destruction, creation. Other thing though, I'm fascinated by is the Celtic belief of water as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Yeah.
And that's very important to me in the books.
It's unstable and moving constant. That's like the Greek god, who was that? They even use the word to describe things that are changeable now. For heaven's sake, why did I bring that up?
I don't know.
It's the ability
I should know this.
Yeah, it's the ability to shift changing. There's a god that does that. If he gets in danger,
you mean the two-faced god, Janus? Is it Janus?
No, doggone it. I'll think of it just as soon as this is over. But that seems to be a major thing in your work that I identified early on that I thought was significant.
Oh, yeah.
Is the role of water, whether it's in drowning or flooding or storms or flood or change or renewal, crops growing, the whole thing. The burial in 1 Foot in Eden, the guy the corpse that is in the tree.
Right.
I've never asked you this, and I've always been meaning to. That read to me like you were setting me up for an old traditional riddle, about where you say the riddle, what am I?
Mm.
And it's going to be that corpse in the tree, it's like Samson and what has sweetness in its mouth, what, so on and so forth. You've concocted a thing that be something about my feet are not on the ground, blah, 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 what am I? And it's this guy who is buried in the top of a tree. Where'd you get that?
That was a really interesting moment in that book, because when I originally wrote the book, I had the body under the horse, the draft horse that had been killed. But as that was before I wrote the section about the sheriff, but as I got to know the sheriff, I realized he was too smart. He'd figured that out quick.
Yeah.
And so what I did, it was actually in August. It was at the same time of year. It was during the dog days. And I was looking out. I said, okay, I'm Billy. I don't have a truck. My truck doesn't work. I can only get this body probably at the most a half mile away. I've got a sheriff here who's smart enough to figure out almost anything. What do I do? And I actually went out behind my house, and there were woods back there. And I just sat down, and I stared into the woods. And I probably was there 30, 40 minutes just trying to think. I was thinking, burn the body, do a Frankie Silver, whatever. Put it in the chimney, but you'll smell. It's August. You're going to smell this thing. So I couldn't do that. I was thinking all sorts of places, and then I realized I just it was like I saw the tree.
Right.
And that has worried some people about me. I've had several friends who think I probably would have had a better career, in crime than in literature. I'd have made a lot more money,
Proteus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.